Howdy, it's Astrid. So normally I'm the type of person that is not going to go out and frivolously buy a guitar. Matter of fact, I told myself no more after the Jazzmaster over here. But I've got a few itches. TMI, I know. My first itch is something like a Junior or Special, which are just tremendous guitars. I like how punk they are. I like the wraparound bridge. It's just something that I don't have that I would like a special shaped object, let's say. The other shaped object I'm looking for is something like a 70s thin line or a Tele Custom, which I'm a huge fan of the wide range humbuckers and just the overall vibe those guitars, particularly the Semi-Hollow, has is incredible. As you can tell, I am partial to thin line Teles. And I wanted something with the humbuckers in it. The other itch that I have is for something resembling a Rick Semi-Hollow without the huge, ridiculous price tag for a handmade instrument, which Ricks are 100% worth it, but I'm not made of money. The last itch that I have is pretty specific. It's for a transparent green guitar with a nice wood top. Now this guitar here, I'm going to be seeing for the first time as you're seeing it for the first time. So let me just go ahead and pop this case and give you all what you've been waiting for here. This, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put this case back down before I hurt somebody. This, my friends, is a PRS SE Custom Semihollow 2009. This particular model ran from 2007 to 2013. They are currently making semi-hollows. They are not these. They're a little different, and I may get into that later in the video. But this guitar is none of those things I've been itching for. No, not even green. That's right. This right here, this is a blue guitar. Let me explain. This is not one of those dresses blue with white stripes or whatever. No. This guitar started out with a Matteo Blue finish on it. And PRS uses organic dyes that are known to fade over time with UV light. So if it's in the sunlight or if it's exposed to a lot of fluorescence, they will fade. And this one is in that stage of fading where it is a gorgeous green. This looks like a factory finish and a pretty outstanding one at that. So I'm happy with the finish on this, but if I pop the pick guard off here, and I probably will put a picture of that up just so you see it, but you will see the original Matteo Blue finish, which is quite blue. Of course, it's just the top that is a transparent finish on this guitar. The rest is black, but this is the bit you see. It looks nice. It's got kind of all of those vibes I was kind of going for visually. It is very light. Like this is maple and mahogany guitar, so similar to Les Paul construction, but thin line and obviously not as thick as your typical Les Paul would be. For comparison, as this is the closest thing I have, this is my thin line Tele. They're around the same size, around the same thickness. Tele is maybe even a little bigger and definitely heavier because it's less hollow. So will this guitar scratch all the itches? Some of them, none of them. I don't know. Like I said, this is my first time seeing this guitar and I have not played it. I have not plugged it in, etc. I'm hoping that it will scratch all the itches. But if not, I anticipate it being a very playable guitar. PRS, even the SE line, which are made overseas, are excellent quality. They're excellent playing guitars. So why PRS? Well, PRS and I have somewhat of a storied history. I'll be honest with you, I come from a place of a little bit of prejudice against PRS. And some of this goes back in the late 90s, up to about the year 2000, I was working in the warehouse in a certain big box guitar store. We would see a lot of these things come in, and we're talking at that point, the USA made ones. They had the gorgeous woods, they had the flame maple binding, they had the birds. They were works of art, and they were priced accordingly. Realizing that guitars in general, US-made guitars in particular, are not cheap, they just seemed like they were a rich man's guitar. That they were something that was flaunting the fact that they were forever out of everybody's reach, and therefore they were kind of snobbish. And that reputation, I think, has kind of stuck with the company through the years, and maybe is not as fair of a representation as it could be. Since then, I've enjoyed a lot of players, ones that I know personally, ones that I know through my music exposure, that play PRS and it sounds good and they enjoy it and it looks good on them. So, but yet this prejudice has kind of stuck with me. So I kind of forced myself in the recent year or so, I've been doing a lot of rediscovery, as some of you know, to take a second look at PRS. And in particular, Paul Reed-Smith, the man who runs the company, and yes, he still runs the company, unlike Gibson, unlike Fender, where they're run by a bunch of corporate suits that are probably more interested in making money off of the consumer than they are in the quality of their instruments. No offense to Gibson and Fender products, they're fantastic, many of them anyways. But the fact that we still have the same person at the helm of it, partially because it's a younger company and he's still at the age where he can do that. But I've been watching some interviews with Paul, and he's not what I expected. Actually, he's a very down-to-earth guy. He seems like he genuinely cares about connecting with people and giving them what they want. He genuinely cares about the quality of his instruments. The reason that they were so high-priced, and many of them are still so high-priced, is because of the sort of meticulous quality control he put into his instruments, the sort of meticulous wood selection he put into his instruments, and the design features, which were, basically this is a player's guitar. And a lot of people say that flippantly, but I mean, with Paul's case, I think it was definitely true. And while many of them were flashier than I would prefer, I have to take a step back and admit that maybe that says more about me than it does about Paul. Anyways, that aside, it has the wrap tail bridge. It has, obviously these are humbuckers in here. They're the standard SE style humbuckers, which means they're going to sound pretty good. They're not going to be wide range. They're not going to be P90s. But I'm hoping that they're close enough to either of those to where they'll at least last me for a while. I may eventually end up swapping them out. If, not to say that they're bad pickups, they may just not be me. But yeah, what we have here, obviously two humbuckers. We have a volume, a tone. These are not push-pull pots. That may be changing. We have a switch, which is in a really weird position, but it's not unreachable. This is your standard toggle switch that will select between your pickups. Standard stuff there. Wrap tail bridge is kind of nice. It's got a compensated saddle, and these are actually grooved for the strings, so that them popping out of place is probably not going to be an issue. We do, of course, have your PRS style headstock with close to straight string pull. There's a bunch of big writing on this, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it looks decent. This has some cosmetic wear, which has been disclosed to me. Nothing that affects playability. It has the moon inlays, which are quite nice. Some of these came with the birds. I'm not as huge of a fan of the birds, at least on this model, because it is kind of an understated model. It's kind of a classic styles. It harkens back to the Rickenbacker. It harkens back very strongly to the Junior. It wants something resembling dots, I think. And, unbound fretboard, which it has. Oh, this is interesting. It actually is... I can't tell if that's just the color of the fretboard. I think it's just the color of the fretboard. It looked almost as though on the dot side of the neck that it had been painted the same black as the neck had, where it's obviously it's obviously a natural color on the floor side of the guitar. I think it's just darker on this side of the rosewood board, and yes, these do come with actual rosewood. Premium woods here, even in the cheap stuff. So I'm pretty pleased with that overall so far. Now that said, I have not plugged it in. I have not played it. But that in order, I think I will go ahead and plug this in and play it, because you guys are probably sick of hearing me talk. Have a standard side jack and a little football mount here. Nothing fancy there. I am playing through my Orange Crush RT35. Dirt will be coming via the Joe Gore Filth Fuzz. I have a bit of wet that's coming through the Boss Waza Dimension Chorus, and also through the White Tape Analog Delay from Donner. So I've heard a lot of demos of this guitar, which one does. And a lot of these people are playing fairly Paul types of music, meaning they're high gain, they're doing all the whittly solo stuff. I wanted to kind of give a more every person's demo as far as playing this. So I'll be doing a lot of clean tones, I'll be doing a lot of rhythm. Not that I can't play lead on this, but you've heard that all before. Incidentally, these are fairly heavy gauge strings on here, which I like. These are probably 10s or 11s. Don't know precisely, but they seem to work pretty well for the guitar. I may be changing them because that's what I do. So yes, that has been a taste of the new old SE hollow body in what I will now call translucent forest green. This is not an official color. So if you find one that's this color and you like this color, buy it, because probably it's going to fade further in its current home and it's going to end up turning gray, which also is not a bad color, but it's not the one that I wanted. So I will need to take a little bit more care in terms of keeping this out of sunlight, keeping it out of fluorescent lighting. I have all LED at home, so I should be fine. And keep it maybe in its case a little bit more. But overall, very light, very well balanced guitar. You know, if I balance it on my knee, it's just slight bit of neck dive, but honestly not much. And it is maybe half the weight of my telly. It's really impressive, the weight of this thing. I haven't seen specs on this particular guitar, but it's around 6.5 pounds for most of them. As I said, they are doing a more current semi-hollow. It is more traditional PRS style. It is a carved top. It does not have the pick guard. It has the PRS synchronized tremolo, and it has an F-hole versus this cat eye. So not a bad looking guitar, but I think this one just pops a little bit more. This one says me a little bit more. And overall, I'm very impressed with the tones. It is a lot hotter than I expected, even for being a humbucker guitar. These are high output pickups, but they don't sound bad clean. They clean up pretty nice. And I think particularly if you were to roll off that tone a little bit and, you know, roll off the volume, you can get some nice jazzier tones out of this. But that's more than I want to explore for this brief little walkthrough here. So these, when you can find them on the used market, they're going for about $600 usually. I bought this on Reverb, so I ended up paying a little bit more, of course, with shipping and with tax and all that good stuff. But it's a very reasonable price guitar for what you're getting. From having briefly played a few of the actual Paul Reed Smiths back in the day, this feels and plays very similar. I'm not disappointed with the sounds. I'm not disappointed with the wood. There is some cosmetic damage, but that's certainly not Paul's fault, and it's something that I knew about going into it. Just makes it a little bit easier to mod. I will be probably taking off this back cavity to look at the electronics. I'll be posting a photo here because I probably do want to put some push-pulls on here. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with them. I may end up running a parallel mode on the bridge pickup because I like that. I may end up doing a single coil on the neck pickup, or I may end up incorporating a Esquire style bypass to where it'll just bypass the tone and volume pots entirely and just take the pickup hot directly to the out, which does affect the tone a little bit, at least on a Telly style guitar. Never tried it on a PRS. That's what this is here for. But so if you have any ideas of things I could do to make this guitar better, or if you have any comments about this guitar or PRS in general, or me, you know, if you want to be transphobic in the comments below, that's fine. Just, you know, feed the algorithm, people. Anyways, till next time, stay beautiful.
I have won the great battle for